So, first Gibson I've ever owned, first new guitar I've ever bought. What issues did I find? Hello everybody, my name is Austin Randolph. Just to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way, trying to build this channel up. So if you would interact with this video in some way, shape, or form, and if you're feeling really generous, give me a subscribe. I've got a few more ideas. I don't know, man. I'm kind of having fun with this whole thing, to be honest. Follow me on TikTok. Same username is here. The TikTok's going pretty well, so if you want to hop on the bandwagon for some kind of more casual, fun content, that's typically where I do that. So today we're talking about this guitar. I made a video about this guitar about 5-6 weeks ago, probably more like 5, and it did really well. And I was, this is my first Gibson, right? And this is the only new guitar I've ever bought. Just the way the pricing is working right now, for me, it makes more sense to buy a new guitar if they're offering killer specials everywhere, like every company is. So this is one of the JC era guitars. It's a SG Standard. I'm very happy they brought white back. So we're talking about a premium instrument here. And I guess it all kind of boils down to the question, does something being made in America inherently give you a better chance of not having any quality issues? Does that inherently make it a higher quality product? And I feel like an asshole. I really do, because the answer is kind of unexciting, and it's, well, not really. So, problems right off the bat. I've never taken a guitar back in my entire life. I don't even know how many I've owned. If I buy something and then, with a little tweaking, you can usually just do it yourself. It's not worth taking it back. This is the only guitar I've ever had to take back to the local store. And I had to take it back. So this is actually the second one. The first one of these I bought, I don't know if it's just an SG thing. I don't think so, because I've played plenty of SGs. The nut was cut wrong on the first one that I had. All the spacing on the nut for the strings was fine up until the high E slot. High E slot was suspiciously close to the edge of the fretboard, and I didn't even realize there was a problem when I was playing it in the store until I got home, and about 5 days later I noticed anytime I would fret an F chord or a D chord, anything probably above the 5th fret on the high E, my E would fall off the fretboard. And I've been doing this long enough to be able to, I'm not a great guitar player, right? I am no savant, but I can play a D chord. I know how to do that. And so after second guessing myself for 5 days, I ended up just taking it back. And Marty, the guy that owns my local shop, picked it up, played a little bit. He was like, if somebody was really lightly handed, this probably wouldn't be a problem, but I don't think that nut's cut right. And I was like, I know, it's not cut right. So that was problem number one and the biggest one. And I gotta be honest, man, it was a little disappointing because my first Gibson, buying it brand new, and the new era is supposedly great. They fixed all the problems, and a couple days later, it's literally dude, I can't play this. It's a bad nut makes a guitar unplayable. So, went in, played the other white one they had. This nut cut totally different. I don't know if they do that by hand or if that's an automated process, but this nut is completely different. This nut plays great. Guitar plays great. I have, like I said, I have a full review about this guitar that did really, really well. Feel free to watch that if you haven't watched it yet. And then I just kind of decided, whenever I get a new guitar, typically after the fun period goes away, I'm like, all right, let's take a look, let's fiddle around, let's make sure everything, let's give this a feel, let's see if it needs any extra sanding on either side. Granted, I'm used to playing typically shit guitars, so typically they need a little bit of fine tuning, but I was like, oh man, this is a USA Gibson, I'm sure this setup out of the box is killer. No, no, not at all. Uh, action was action a lot of times comes crazy, like a little high. The action on this was crazy high, and the pickup height didn't even really make sense. If you want me to be honest with you, like the neck pickup. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. Maybe not. But the pickup heights were crazy. Like literally, the bridge was practically touching the strings, and the neck was practically recessed into the body. So I was like, all right, well, not hard. None of these things are hard, right? But at a price point like $1,650 for this piece of wood with metal strings on it, like you're getting picky's okay, I think. So that's what I'm doing. And the thing to get picky about was the pickup heights were all whatever. The action was crazy, crazy high. And then it wasn't sounding in tune, and it wasn't staying in tune, particularly on the G string, which is, stereotypic and funny. But man, playing whatever. So I decided to finally check like the intonation. It was so bad. Like the intonation out of the box was so bad. And I had to tweak it quite a bit, actually. Like a lot of times you'll get a guitar and it shifts during shipping if it's going from different climates. I get it. Guitars are temperamental. I understand. But dude, I had to adjust the intonation, particularly on the G string, like almost the length of how much room they give you to adjust it. Like it was rough and it did not sound in tune no matter what I played. So yeah, not amazing. And I guess that comes back to, not to get philosophical on you, but I guess at this price point, like I said, I think it's okay to be picky. And I think those are like super legitimate things that I just pointed out and said to you guys. The nut was a huge issue, and it really bummed me out. I've like I said, I've never had to take a guitar back before. And the other stuff, I would expect it on a $600 Epiphone. I didn't want to see it on like a Gibson made in Tennessee. So that bummed me out. That being said, again, not to get too philosophical on you, but like that begs the question, well, just because something is made in the US or made in Canada or made in Korea or whatever, what you're talking about is the developed world, right? Not to like insult or whatever, but you're talking about like developed economies. Just because something's made in there, does your probability of encountering quality control issues go up or down, and then is it worth that additional money you're spending to you? I really believe that people are people, and I've traveled a whole bunch for my job for film. I've traveled a lot, and this weird thing happens where everywhere I go in the world, people seem to act like people. And I really, really think that, especially like with what the Chinese manufacturers are doing right now, they've been doing it for like 10 years now. They've gotten really, really good at making guitars. I have another video of, sorry to stand up on you, of this guy out there, and this is one of the newer Epiphone inspired by Gibson Les Pauls. And man, the quality on that thing, killer. Like, it's flawless. So my point is, they're exiting that, like, I'm not going to call it third world, but they're coming into the developed world as far as manufacturing goes. Their cost of living has gone through the roof the last couple of years because the quality of living has gone up through the roof in the last couple of years. Make sense? So at the end of the day, I don't know why I expected a guitar made by a guy with the last name Johnson to be different than a guitar made by a guy with the last name Chung or whatever. I don't know why I expected more. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just people making the guitars. But I'm rambling. I'm rambling a lot. My the whole point of this video is I'm bummed out, man. There were some quality issues. Does it affect my sentimental thing? Like, no, it's I took it back once. The one I got, I had to tweak it a lot, but now it plays great. I play this guitar every day. I use it in plenty of videos. I use it in plenty of songs that I'm working on. So like, this guitar is great. I think maybe people have put Gibson on too much of a pedestal. Like, they are this elite boutique manufacturer, and they're not that. We're not talking about Custom Shop. Custom Shop is completely different, both Fender and Gibson. I think you can have whatever expectation you want at the price point they're operating at. But at the end of the day, Gibson, like the standard Gibsons, it's just a factory that happens to be in Tennessee. Am I mad that there was a problem with the nut on the guitar? No, somebody probably just cut a nut wrong. And then, at the end, somebody probably just didn't tweak the intonation. Somebody probably didn't want to take the time to like lower the action a little bit to make it a little more playable. Like, it's just people being people, man. So a lot of what you're paying for, everybody knows this, man, but a lot of what you're paying for is the name and the shape of the headstock, just because it's so iconic. That's why they got bailed out of bankruptcy a few years ago. They have a name that's worth it. So, as counterintuitive as this is, after everything I just said, does the name make it worth it? For me, yes. It just makes me feel a certain way, and I think that's worth it to me. So, should Gibson be on this pedestal where they can make no mistakes? No, that's insane. That's a crazy thing to say and expect. Was I expecting a little better quality? Yeah, but do I still absolutely fucking love this guitar? Yeah, I do. So, per usual, I'm leaving you guys with a non-answer, but I just wanted to point out some issues, man, and that there's probably always going to be issues, and I think maybe people are putting the new Gibson on maybe a little too much of a pedestal. So they make it kind of easy. They're easy to pick on. They've made some mistakes, but people make mistakes. So that's all I got, guys. Have a good night.